Environmental problem, climate change. 1. 1116 was the warmest year on record. Data from NICE and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration showed that global average in continue to use harmful deodorant. I am going to pollute the atmosphere, and if it pollute the atmosphere, the temperature will rise more and more. But if you use deodorant responsibly or seldom, I call reduce air pollution. 2. 11% of emissions. 11% of a global greenhouse gas emission caused by humans are the product of deforestation, comparable to the emission from every car and truck on the planet. If I continue to use trees, emissions will continue to rise and emissions continue to rise. The air rate will be affected, but if I protect and use trees responsibly, I could reduce these emissions.
3. Price 150 billion a year. This is what it will take to make the change humanity needs to adapt to a world that is getting warmer. It may sound like a lot, but it's less than 0.1% of world GDP. If I don't continue taking care of environment, this price will go up, and if price goes up, many things will also go up price, so it's better continue taking care of environment and be able to lower its price. 4. 800 million people. 11% of the world's population is currently vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, such as droughts, floods, heat waves, extreme weather events, and sea level rise. If continue neglecting to every month, temperatures will rise, and if temperatures rise, more people in the world will be vulnerable to these changes. So we must stop consuming in excess and reduce as much as possible.
5. 418 parts per million. It was the concentration of carbon dioxide CO2 in our atmosphere in 2018. It is the 18 in 3 million years. If I continue to transport myself in private cars, I will continue to generating CO2 in our atmosphere, and if I continue to generate more CO2, the air will be more polluted, so it's better to use public transport or use bicycles. 6. Almost 1 million hectares lost. An area of coastal ecosystem large than New York City is destroyed each year, removing an important buffer from extreme weather for coastal communities and releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. If I continue throwing garbage into the seas, more and more maritime ecosystem will be lost, and if more ecosystems continue to be lost, there will be more CO2 in the atmosphere. That is why it is important to take care of the sea and clean team.
Saving nature is cheaper. Conserving ecosystems is often more profitable than man-made intervention in the Maldives. The constructions of seawall for coastal protection cost around 200 billion, even after years of maintenance cost. It's often cheaper to protect the natural real. If we continue to contaminate the reeds with chips, they will lose more, and these are lost many species that live there will also lost, which is why their conservation is important. Nature is a solution that is now taking advantage of. Tropical forests are incredibly efficient at storing carbon, providing at least 30% of the action needed to avoid worst case scenarios of climate change, yet nature-based solutions on received use 2% of all climate. If we don't continue taking of the forest, there will be fewer and fewer trees that see CO2 and there will be pollution in the air. That is why we must continue taking care of the forest and not continue.
9. 1 million species at risk. Including 40% of all amphibians known to science, it is treated by human impact. According to the UN, climate change, pollution, deforestation, overfishing, development, and invasive species are endangering biodiversity. If we continue to pollute the environment, many ecosystems will be at risk, and if the ecosystems are at risk, many animals that live in them will also be at risk and could disappear. Which is why it is very important to take care of these ecosystems for the conservation of the species. 10. Plastic production is accelerating. The production and use of plastic is projected to double in the next 20 years and quadruple by the early 2050s. The UN estimates that each year 17 million barrels of oil are used to make plastic and 30 million tons of plastic leaks into the ocean. If we continue to reproduce and throw away the plastic, many ecosystems will be contaminated, and if the ecosystems continue to be contaminated, we will lose a lot of biodiversity that is in them. That is why it's very important to continue reusing plastic and objects that we don't use.